There are 8 aspects to a high-performance company culture. I know that you want your community to be thriving, successful, and really an engaged, happy community. The only way to do this is to engage each of these aspects in the most efficient way. So whether you are a founder, CEO, a team leader, or even a board member, having a look at each of these 8 aspects of a high-performance company culture will help you establish whether or not you're on the right track and think about some of the questions you should be addressing, whether in your community or within each team. Before we begin, check out the PDF that is attached below this video on the website. It has some really nice images that help you remember what we have addressed and the relationships between each of these 8 aspects. Welcome to Culture Codex, where we help you put the humanity back in your company. Whether you're a founder, team leader, CEO, or a board member, you know that you want your company to have the best chance of not only surviving in this very competitive business world, but thriving, exceeding expectations, and being able to take opportunities whenever they come up. The only way to ensure your team is ready for all these opportunities is to make sure from the very beginning to the very end, you are nurturing and cultivating a relationship with your company culture that is a high-performance one. Let's look at all 8 aspects in very brief terms. There are videos attached to each one. You can go off and investigate each concept or aspect a little bit further by checking out these videos. If you want to go into more detail, feel free to email us questions, write questions in the comments below, or even check out some of our other courses or workshops. The first thing that you really need to be thinking about before you even build a team is who's going to lead a team. Leaders set the tone. They will tell you what is important in the room and what isn't. So making sure your leaders have the right idea of what their job is key to each team's success. A perfect leader considers themselves the cultivator of not only that team's success, but of the culture itself, whether that's the environment or the way people interact. A leader must be continually nurturing and cultivating this sense of community that is absolutely necessary to take you from mission accepted to mission accomplished. The next thing you need to really be looking at is how adaptable and resilient you are as a community. Can you take up the opportunities that are provided by the world? Are you ready to adapt when problems hit? Are you ready to embrace differences in the people who are your community, whether they're your employees or whether they're consumers? Are you adaptable to their needs, to their voices? So being an adaptable company is key. There are ways to develop your adaptability and your resiliency, but you need to really consider, have you built in that element of resourcefulness and timely decisions? Before we move on to decisions, let's look at data. On a day-to-day level, you should be data-driven. You should be measuring aspects of your community to make sure that they're continuing to improve. But what those KPIs or what that data is going to depend on what your values are, where you want to be. So unless you know what your destination is clearly, you can't know what to measure. And if you're not measuring it, you're not improving it. So being very clear about what sort of KPIs or what data you should be taking, monitoring on a day-to-day, week by week, month by month, year by year level is very important to a great company culture. That data supports your decision making. Decisions have to be based on a rationale that the community can understand and support. So having transparent decision-making processes with feedback loops is crucial. Your community must feel like they have a voice. Each person must feel like their values and their ideals of the company are being spoken to when big decisions are made. Without it, you're going to have a huge amount of distrust between your authority figures and your main troops on the ground. You're also going to have trouble fine-tuning your results for better options in the future. Unless you're evaluating and re-evaluating how decisions are made, you can't tell whether or not they are good decisions and in your best interest. So that's where the feedback loop comes in. You have all these people working in your community. As part of your community, there's two things that are key to making your team happy and productive. Both are really, really essential elements to a great community. The first is your team has to be engaged. Each individual should feel like they're contributing, and what they're contributing is respected and valued by the community. So they're going to be able to give you more of their brain power, more of their resourcefulness, skill sets from other places, because they believe in the product that you're creating or the world or the vision you've created, and they're going to give you everything that they possibly can. So having engaged employees is very key. Next, those people that you are now working with who are so resourceful, they need to know that you trust them. And how you demonstrate trust is by empowering them. You empower them to make choices, to grow and make mistakes. And by embracing these elements, you know that people can make small choices, make small mistakes without endangering the whole community, because that is how that individual can grow and move forward as a person who can continue to contribute further up the ladder or in a different position, if we're going to get rid of the wonderful hierarchy. All of these people came together because of that vision or mission I told you about when we were talking about empowerment and engagement. And the only way people know what that is and who you are, storytelling. Stories tell us who, what, how, why, and when. They tell us where we began and why we began. They reaffirm the values that we have on a day-to-day basis. They tell us where we want to go and how we should be relating to people who aren't us. So having your storytelling affect every aspect of your community is going to help your company really be coherent and authentic and genuine across the board. In order to make that storytelling the ultimate, most powerful storytelling possible, you need to have strong communication and interaction streams. The more your people can interact and communicate with each other, the more rapport is built, the more happiness happens at work, stress is decreased significantly, and people's creativity and resourcefulness increase. It also means that there's opportunities to remove the leader as a pinnacle, as a bottleneck for information, allowing more people to come up with creative, productive ideas and solutions to the problems you probably didn't even know you had. Each of these 8 aspects is really important to creating a great company culture. We know that you want to go from A to B or even to XYZ in the most efficient, pleasant, positive way possible. So why shouldn't you? Have a look at each of these 8 aspects. As I said earlier in the video, feel free to go and investigate, ask us questions, jump into one of our courses. But even just understanding these 8 aspects are important means that you are well and truly ahead of most companies out there. So thank you very much for coming and joining me for this video and having a look at each of these 8 aspects and how they're going to contribute to your success. I'll see you in the next video.